Hi, this is Amária Sweet with HeartMind Expressions, and I am an energy worker with this awesome group. Today, I'm going to be interviewing and talking with Crystal Cedar. She's from San Francisco, California, and works with crystal shop Vortex, and has been working with them for over 12 years. And I just kind of want to segue into that really quickly. What is it that you do with your crystal shop Vortex, Crystal? Maybe you want to kind of give a little more information, background on yourself and your credentials with that.
Thank you so much, Amaria, for having me, and thank you for HeartMind Expressions for having me today. I do work at a crystal shop in San Francisco, and it is a vortex of energy. And so we're pretty well known within the crystal community of the Bay Area. But when people walk into our shop, we do have things like incense and sage and clothing, but people really come there for the crystals, which we specialize in raw pieces, and people are welcome to feel them out themselves. So we're not like one of those very fancy crystal shops where you need to watch out for breakables with like delicate glass shells. We're not like that. So it's a hands-on crystal shop, raw crystal specimen shop.
Nice. And I think I do remember seeing a picture that you had shown, what was it, last week? And holy cow, those are amazing crystals. I just want to go hang out there.
Very casual.
Right? Oh, man. So as far as in that crystal shop, what do you do where you're basically able to use the energy work? Because you're an energy work practitioner. You use different types of ancient medicine that you have remembered throughout different lifetimes, the trainings that you had with different organizations. How do you apply what you do with that energy work to help other people?
We try to keep it very comfortable, like you're coming home. Like a lot of, we have a lot of tourism, obviously, in San Francisco, but we also have a lot of influx and traveling of businesses, like business people, a lot of tech, a lot of medicine, medical people, like travel nurses, doctors, people that are in San Francisco for just a medical procedure, and somehow they always find us. And when they come to our shop, it's more like, oh, this is like friends and this is like family, even though I don't know anyone here. Like that's the energy that we try to have within the shop. It's a healing place, but it doesn't have to be like a straight up very sterile or very kind of this weird frequency sometimes, like when you walk into certain yoga studios.
Right.
We're not like you know what I'm talking about. It's like it's almost like a snobby energy sometimes when you go into those places, and that's not us. It's
right.
Like as soon as you walk in, you smell all the incenses and you hear the nice calming music, and you just feel like the rush of energy of all these crystals welcoming you in, versus like, you can't afford us, you can't touch us. It's like, hey, what's up? Come on in. Like, if you haven't met us, now you have, and now we're friends, and like hang out. But so a lot of my energy work is to contribute to the atmosphere of the shop in making sure that vortex remains always, and it always will, even when I'm not feeling very like high frequency. But the vortex itself is a very, very, very high frequency, high vibrational vortex of energy that people can feel when they're ready, or when their guides tell them that they're ready to walk in.
It seems to be that way when you come into contact with those kind of energies. So
yeah.
As far as the vortex goes, I know that you've mentioned yourself as being kind of a gatekeeper. So is that kind of how you think that you're bringing people together safely to that vortex, but also in a healing manner as a gatekeeper, that you're keeping balance by having more of that familiar atmosphere, that cozy, hey, you know, we're all here to love each other, and whatever happens here is supposed to be, because, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, because we have over the 12 years that I've been working there, definitely seen my fair share of people coming in saying, oh my gosh, I'm such an empath and I'm so psychic. Like, what can I do to like help calm down, like, you know, all these energies that I'm feeling? And like right away, it's like, first step, number one, like there's no such thing as psychics, mediums, intuitives, and empaths. What am I missing? There's 5. Psychics, mediums, psychic, mediums, psychics, mediums, channelers,
Oh,
intuitives.
right. Okay. All the
Yeah.
the lingo that people like to.
Yeah, they're like the label that they like to use, because there's no such thing as them, because we're all them. Like, we have all these skills. It's just we haven't been taught that we all are. Instead, we're taught this stupid program where it singles out certain gifted people that are special. And it's like, that's so lame. For me, when I've met those people coming into the shop, it's like, that sounds to me like, oh my gosh, I'm so right-handed. Like, I just use my right hand all the time. And like, what can I do to make sure that my right hand is like staying as special as possible, because I'm a right-hander? It's like, it doesn't, it's so, no.
Oh, sorry.
No, we just don't do that.
Well, and I can see it from the perspective of, and this is for the audience, just as to understand. For those of you who haven't been raised in kind of a more indigenous type lifestyle or whatever, I didn't as a child. I did later on in life, and I've been learning it since then. What Crystal's talking about with not labeling what we do, and it also ties into, you know, like what Jose Silva's talked about. He's one that did the Silva mind system. You can look into that stuff. And other different people. Bert Goldman's another one, the quantum jumper, American monk. They talk about how all of us have these attributes. And I know that there's different programs throughout, whether it's, you know, in education or, you know, whatever trainings that we want to do. Military's used them as well. Those applications, it really is just one soul being able to reach into different facets, and we don't need to label it, because it does. I think it gives us that ego boost of, well, I'm a psychic. And I really appreciate that you brought that up, Crystal, because that's something that on, you know, growing up in more of a white privilege type lifestyle, I guess you could say.
Yeah, basically.
But I've seen both sides of it, and I think it's coming to a balance in all of our traditions, all of, you know, if we're coming from a religious background or a more spiritual, esoteric background, we can come to common reality or common, how would you call those, principles or agreements, that even though there might be labels, that when we step aside from those labels, we're able to get outside of the box, because we're not going to worry about, oh crap, am I doing this right as a medium, or oh, I broke the rules for Reiki, what do I do? We don't have to have those labels, when we can just be open and allow spirit and source and our ancestors, guides, whatever, to direct us with our flow and that flow state.
Yeah. And also too, because when you do energy work, that doesn't mean you're going to stick with one mode of energy work.
Exactly.
Like, if you are a Reiki practitioner, you're not going to do Reiki forever. Like, you can't continue to do Reiki without tapping into spirit, or maybe tapping into like a little bit of intuitive reading on top of that too. Because like, what the heck are you healing if you can't see it?
Right.
Or are you just going to charge people $125 an hour to hold your hands over their body and not really, you know, like, what are you really practicing? And like, I get into so much trouble with Reiki practitioners, especially the master Reiki practitioners, because I say that
have a really weird energy that I've felt, and that's true.
Yeah, because it's like, how can you do that energy work but not have a battery for yourself? Like, what are you charging yourself with? And I do know certain Reiki practitioners that charge with Mother Nature and Mama Gaia, like they should, because that's her medicine.
Exactly. Yeah. Just the channeler, or we're just basically the tool or the instrument in order to bring that flow. We don't need to label it. And I really agree on that with those practitioners. I think those of us that are tapping in and that maybe are beginning that process or getting into it or mastered it can either start to feel it or recognize it immediately. And I definitely can feel that with some, you know, I've got this degree, so I'm set. And it seems like the more egotistical they are on having to have all these credentials, the less flow they have, and the more they're worried about their performance rather than just staying humbled in where we're at, because I know I screw up a lot. I mean, I
Yeah.
definitely am humaning very hard some days, and other days it flows more.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for the journey, because without those pushing myself over the edge and being like, I'm gonna cry with some snot now, whatever that's gonna be, it's being real, it's letting go and saying, okay, what can I do to push my boundaries so that I can be more balanced? I can understand the people that are, LARPing or faking or playing games or making a show, to those who are authentically in their medicine. And like some of my good friends that I'll have on the show eventually as well, that are the Holy Fire Reiki master that I do have, she practices it because of her ancestry. She taps into that Fae energy from like the Irish ancestry that she has. Very deeply, beautifully spiritual. Absolutely love it. And I can
Yeah.
feel it. I mean, that stuff is so, my heart goes, I'm like, ooh, I like this
Yeah.
activation. Keep on doing this, honey. That's the type of people. And that's what one of the things I love about you, Crystal, is your authenticity. And you're magical. I really love that.
It's it's the lately, especially since 2020 has hit, and especially when 2019 was ending, I had so many Master Reiki level 3s come in, or Master Reiki 2, or whatever that means. I don't speak that language. But like, they were coming in because they were having like these existential crises about their work. And it's like, they didn't want to connect with spirit, was what was really happening. Like, they were so resistant about connecting to spirit and to their ancestors, who were allowing them to even have this access to the skill in the first place.
Right.
They just didn't want to do it. Like, I don't know if they teach you that in Reiki, and it's life is just a bunch of white light and violet ray and all that. But
it makes a lot of sense.
Right? But
And
it's
really
like,
quick, I need to go to a break, but we're going to continue that subject matter as after the break. And so, Amária Sweet with HeartMind Expressions, and we'll be right back. Thank you so much, time, for for watching us today. I'm with Crystal Cedar and HeartMind Expressions. This is Amária Sweet. Now, we were talking about Reiki workers and light workers, and do you want to go ahead and continue with the thought that you were having on that?
yeah. So the Reiki, Master Reiki people that were coming in, they were all drained out, basically. And so this is also an example of some of the a crystal recommendation, example of the crystal recommendations that we do at our shop. They would come in very drained, and just their energy fields are kind of tense and very small, instead of like their full capacity.
Right.
As a result of being so drained. Because if you're drained energetically, you can't maintain a bigger, if you're drained, you have a smaller energy field than what you really have, like your potential.
So they weren't
Because
grounding or recharging their chi. So basically, they're teaching something without actually practicing that medicine.
yeah, or they were practicing, but they weren't growing. Because the thing is, when you do any kind of energy work, your end of the deal is you need to grow.
That's
Like, you need to learn, because this is service to others, but you also have to keep upgrading yourself. You always have to keep expanding your consciousness. You always have to keep expanding and raising to a higher frequency than the people that you work on. And their problem was, because they had been practicing so long, and so many people find them on whatever Yelp or something, it's like nobody ever really taught them, like, you can recharge with Mama Gaia, you can recharge with crystals. You're not supposed to recharge off of people. But there's that whole Western programming, especially with most of the Reiki practitioners, Master Reiki people that I work with have been women. They are like of this mindset, like, drain out. When you're feeling drained, go find somebody else to drain off of, restore your battery, leave that person drained. And like, that's that whole practice. And I see it with nurses, I see it with doctors, I see it with, any public servant.
That actually makes sense, and I didn't really key into that, but you're really astute on that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so they would come to the shop and they'd be like, what's a crystal that can help me with this? And I'm like, first of all, you're a hot mess. And second of all, like here, there are no such thing as master Reikis. In here, there is no such thing as anything like that. Like we don't see your training. We don't even care who you are. All we see is your energy field, this vortex, and your ancestors and all your guides are here with ours, with the shop's vortex. And now you're ready to listen.
Makes
And
me
now
want to go there. I want to go
I
there.
know. Yeah.
Well, and so when you're seeing these people and they come in to your shop, what kind of crystal recommendations do you usually do? Like, what would that look like if you're giving someone a crystal recommendation?
So usually, and thank goodness, since 2020 came around and the Lunar New Year is now fully in full bloom because we had the full moon already.
Right.
We're now solidly in the year of the metal rats. And so that metal element has really inspired people to be more of them, like a better version of spirituality, a better version of fitness, a better version of health, because it's metal in my elemental understanding of it flows like molten metal.
Right.
Yeah, not like a solid block chunk like money. Like that's not.
It's got to be
Yeah,
that molding process of changing the properties of that metal.
Yeah, like if you were pouring a sword as a blacksmith into a sword mold. Like that's what I think of when I think of metal.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, especially where we've got that fire element, because you and I are both kind of that same year of birth. That
Exactly.
fire element with that metal, we really have that extra vibrational energy to light that up and really get those juices flowing, especially this year. And I think on any year where we've got that metal element, where we can really just flow with that state, which is really cool. I like that.
Yeah. So because of the this new age, because also we started a whole new 60-year and 180-year cycle now with the Chinese zodiac. We're going through all the animals all over again in all the 5 elements. So this is a new age, literally new age.
Awesome.
New 180 years. And this is the first official age in who knows how long of divine feminine, where the divine feminine has fully returned.
Right.
And it doesn't mean women are like, women versus men or anything. It just means it's Mama Gaia's age is what that means. She's the divine feminine.
Well, that's been foretold by so many different, if you want to call them prophets, sages, books, holy scriptures, whatever. It really has been, that Christ consciousness, it really is a divine feminine energy. Because even when like Buddha and like Christ and Padmasambhava, I mean, there's so many of those guys were teaching each time, they always revered motherhood and the femininity and the divine feminine, because they realize we have to have that balance in, because if we're always on that any toxic side, whether it's toxic feminine, toxic masculine, or just too much in the feminine, too much in the masculine, we still have to balance that. But we've had such a top heavy of everything has to be like lined up this way and it's got to be logical, but we really need to flow more with our hearts again and really pull in spirit so that we can have that. I think that molding with that fire metal in this new age, like what you're talking about, is really going to help us to push forward even more in those feminine energies. Like we've been taught for thousands of years, but people want to make a religion out of it, or label it.
So when because I always check in with the ancestors and I always check in with the elemental beings when new people come in who have never had an ascension process at all, even know what ascension is, even have any kind of spiritual experience at all, except for religion.
Right.
I always ask them, like what crystal would be the best for right now, or this moon, or this era right now. And whenever I'd ask that, like recently they've been like, you need to redefine what Christ consciousness is, because unfortunately the religious programming is that Christ is male.
Right.
Buddha is male. Like Lord Shiva is male.
So we don't like a lot of women too, huh?
Yeah, so we feel already excluded from Christ consciousness because we don't believe ourselves, we don't hear it, we don't see it, that there are goddesses. We live on a goddess, like we live with a goddess. We come from goddesses, but that's not, so whenever I hear Christ consciousness, they want me to turn it into Gaia consciousness.
Oh, I like that, the Gaia consciousness.
Yeah, or just be super like neutral, how it was in ancient times where it was just cosmic consciousness.
That's awesome.
Yeah, And it's and I'm like, oh, that changes the frequency like 20 million times already, right? Gaia consciousness or cosmic consciousness.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Instead of Christ consciousness, because that triggers everything.
Yeah.
You know.
That starts
And
with
then all of a
religion
sudden,
back in.
exactly. And then all of a sudden we're back in 2019 or 2010 or 2000 where we're like, damn it, we're women, we suck, we can't, because it's Christ and Christ was male. And even though men tell us like, no, that's not what it means. I'm like, yeah, that's what it means.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So when I asked them that question, you know, like what crystal would be appropriate for right now for that, universally for male or female, the color of the crystals are pink.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that I find interesting because of that vortex. And just talking about vortexes, that a group of us during that Area 51 silly thing, you know, we ended up having a beautiful time. It was a musical thing, but it was a pink topaz energy. So that's interesting that
Yeah.
that is kind of the energy of these different vortexes that's coming up with the pink crystals.
Yeah. And they don't like there's not that many pink stones out there that are naturally pink. Like there's rose quartz, which everybody knows. And then there's pink topaz, which is so rare that none of us can really afford it. You know, like that kind of thing. And so there's this new version of calcite that's actually coming out of Afghanistan, or as us Americans say, Afghanistan, but it's Afghanistan. And it's not a heavily mined child labor trauma, you know, accessed kind of like calcite. It comes out of the mountains, and it's this beautiful black light reactive UV rose calcite. It's if you shine a black light on it, it glows this beautiful purple magenta. So any stone that is that reacts to any other ray than what our naked eye can see is already automatically vastly higher in frequency than we can even understand. But because it's pink, pink represents unconditional loving energy of yourself. And men have been buying that stone up like crazy. They buy it for their other friends. They buy it for their brothers. They buy it for their dads because they know that that aspect of self-nurturing it doesn't exist, because they've been taught, feed off the battery of a woman, feed off the battery of other people.
Don't cry, you're being a girl, you're a wussy, suck
Exactly.
it up. Yeah.
Exactly. And for them to be supposedly this macho, like self-sustainable being, like you can't do that without love. Then you just be a robot.
Yep, exactly. And you know, we all need to tap in that divine feminine energy more, because just seeing my own sons do it, it's amazing to see them pull away from that macho normal teenage boy thing, and they're actually a lot more gentle, and they'll watch what they're saying around people out of respect. And a lot of teenagers you don't see that with.
Yeah. Compassion is not weak. No. You know, kindness is not weak. Exactly. But the especially with the men that I've been seeing that have been coming in a lot lately, especially techie guys, business guys, first they come in because they understand, like, if they have some kind of spiritual aspect to themselves, their business can be better, you know, because it means they're conscious. But that falls away real quick, and all of a sudden they start to see, like, holy crap, I have some serious toxic masculinity, ancestral trauma that is starting to come up now. And instead of trying to profit off of it, you know, and tie it to my business, maybe I need to be a better human being, and then I'll be more abundant. Like, because then I won't be a jerk, and then I won't be like a narcissist feeding off of people.
And I like how you're able to tap into that to help people, because even if you're not always telling them per se, excuse me, I think because of the truthfulness of that and where you're connecting the guides, those vortexes, I think it's able to kind of dislodge different things in people so that energy can naturally flow in and kind of give them that kick in the booty, you know, just like, hey, wake up.
Yeah. I'm really lucky to have other energy working friends that are a lot more less judgmental, I guess, when they talk about these things. But because I'm there, like, I'm not grunt, man. Like, I've been on the front lines for 12 years. Like, unfortunately, I'm not going to be as polished as I should be. But I hope that for people listening that, you know, have always been skeptical about crystals and crystal energy, and they have this false illusion, like it's this you know, not people of color kind of like elitist thing, and you're going to do yoga and have all these crystals out and crystals are going to do it for you. No, like crystals don't do it for you. They teach you. They can teach you their energy through their energy fields, so that if you hold them, or if you meditate with them, or if you wear them, or you have an altar that you pray with, or for your ancestors and have, you know, crystal present frequencies there, they can teach you and integrate their frequencies into your energy field. And ultimately, that's what they're here to do. Like, I'll hear it all the time. Like, people are like, I need a black tourmaline because it can absorb all my negative energy. I'm like, dude, they didn't grow like thousands of years to come up to the surface and then absorb your nasty funk and then die. Like, that's not what they do. Like, that's stupid.
Like, just
That's like
your own crap, people.
Yeah. It's like, why would you see, this is how you treat a crystal is how you treat people. Boom. You just, without saying a lot, you just said a lot. So
Right.
now people are understanding, like, if I respect this crystal and if I sit with it and if I let it integrate within myself and I'm like deprogram, like, oh, that's superstitious, or oh, that's stupid, or oh, that's witchcraft, or oh, you know, like all this negative stuff, they can actually allow the ancient ways to come through. Like, hi, the ancestors wanted you to come to the shop today, and you're going to be drawn to this rock, even though you don't know what it means, and it's not your color or anything, but they just want you to hold it for a second. And then this lady's going to come by and ask you if you have any questions, and then you'll have a question, and then it'll be natural. Like, it won't be like, I'm coming in for a reading, or I need to get like, you know, because that's the program too, is, are you a fortune teller? And it's like, bro, oh my God. Are you a psychic too? Are you an empath
all
too?
the labels and stuff, and like where people are directed to come into your shop. And I know that meetings there's no like accident. We all are coming together for a reason. What
Yeah.
gets you excited about that? Like, what's the passion that you have about working in your crystal shop? Like, you know, with your friends at the crystal shop, the Vortex.
It's I love to see when people come in really raw, and then they understand, like, the whole point is because they are beginning their ascension process. Like, ascension is when your human frequency, because of where we are in the galaxy right now on our planet, Mama Gaia is going through an ascension process where we're raising in frequency and vibration. We are intaking higher frequencies and higher vibrations from the cosmos, so that we can evolve to be the super spiritual humans that we are, the divine humans that we were always supposed to be. But because of programming, because of, you know, other outside factors and beings, like, we haven't been. And so now, since this new 180 age has begun, this is now a very fast-paced and very strong ascension process for everyone. Our dreams are getting more livid. Our questions about ancestors and our curiosity, and like, why do we burn sage? Like, what does sage do? Like, how does it work? And letting go of the science of it and actually feeling the energies. Like, our ancestors did this and they never had cancer, and they never had obesity, and they never had, you know, and yes, maybe because they were hunters and gatherers, but I mean, there was a time, a prehistoric ancient time, that we were a galactic member of a higher team, and that time is coming back, but they won't land here and like in our crap. Like, we need to ascend to meet them, at least
On that note,
1/3 of the way.
I'm going to pause really quick for a break, and we will be right back. This is Amária Sweet with HeartMind Expressions, speaking with Crystal Cedar, and we will be right back. This is Amária Sweet, talking with Crystal Cedar with HeartMind Expressions. And thank you guys so much for listening. So we were just talking about the energies, like what gets Crystal really excited when she's doing her energy work, and how the energies of the crystals and things are picking up to where we're starting to remember our ancestral medicine, our ancestral energies. And so leading into this, or continuing into this, was there anything else that you wanted to go over or to elaborate with on what we just were talking about just before the break?
If I were to make a recommendation for people who crystal recommendation for people who are starting their ascension process, or maybe have begun their ascension process and might be stuck, or maybe you just want to check in and see like, okay, am I on path, with my ascension process. Number one, first too, there's no right time limit. Like, you don't have to have it completed by 2025, or you don't have to do it within a year. It varies on individual to individual, based on different things: your culture, your ancestors, your amount of personal trauma, your amount of ancestral trauma. Like, there's so many layers of the ascension process, and people can learn more about it on my website. It's ascensionfromwithin.com, or they can go to your HeartMind Expressions, where they can also learn a little bit more about the ascension process and different factors of it. But my number one crystal recommendation probably for people is a clear quartz, just a straight up, simple, clear quartz. What clear quartz does is it is an amplifier, and so it can really help to, if you've just had little nudges here and there from the ancestors of like, maybe look into this or maybe feel into that, that crystal quartz can help you amplify it enough so that you can actually work with it. Also, clear quartzes help to give you clarity. And unfortunately, with nationwide 5G now, especially for women, it has a way of distorting our chemicals, our body chemicals,
Right.
so that, yeah, it creates too much clutter. Our third eyes are getting blocked. It's triggering all kinds of thyroid hot mess within women. And so clear quartzes help to diminish the impact of outside energies. They don't block them, but they can help diminish them from within ourselves.
So do these,
And then
like whenever you, like for radionics or orgonite, for instance, there is that just kind of basically the energy that it's helping to almost make like a shield? Is that kind of what you're saying? Like it's kind of like a shielding energy as well?
it's more like an activating energy.
Activating. Okay.
So yeah, because during people's initial ascension processes, they need to activate first.
Right.
So when people first come to the shop, usually it's a clear quartz. First crystal should always be clear quartz. If it's not, it's okay, but just make sure you have it.
Now,
And
does
then the
the
second
person want to use these when they're grounding, like maybe meditating, hold on to these? Or I'm just, this is just for like if there's a new beginner person that's listening.
oh yeah,
And so that's, so basically they would want to hold on to their crystal or maybe make a necklace out of it. Would that be a good thing to do for them?
they could do that. They can put it in their medicine pouch. If they wear a medicine pouch, they can keep it in their pocket. If you're a woman, you can keep it in your bra if you feel like it's not going to fall out.
Right.
Or maybe put it in a little pouch that you can tie to the inside of your bra strap. But the more the crystals stay within our energy field, the more they can integrate into our energy field. And if you have a crystal, but it's at home on your nightstand or at home in a windowsill, where they don't belong at all, because the heat from the sun and the light from the sun will just bleach them out. So never do that. Don't leave your crystals in the window, like day after day.
Right.
Like, they can't help you, or they'll only be able to help you when you're at home. So regularly I tell people, like, your first crystal, keep it small, maybe small enough that you can keep in your wallet, so that like you always have your wallet with you. So, you don't necessarily have to buy a talisman from Go and wear it around your neck.
I figured I'd give a little example for the audience. Like, I've got a little one. There we go. A little one there.
There you go.
So I do have big points as well, but usually these are more my energy working. That one's just the citrine, but yeah.
Nice.
And I think these are usually like maybe $1 or 50 cents when you go to those little rock stores.
For that size, it would probably be like maybe $1.99 to $2. I wouldn't pay more than $5 for one. They better be like, they better make me like grow taller or something if you're gonna pay $5 for that size.
Really cost effective for people.
Yeah.
Especially for anybody that's new to this kind of energy work. I know that a lot of our audience is, they are a little bit new to this, and a lot of them are, of course, veterans to rocks and stones, and so I like to be nice and rounded for people that maybe.
There we go. The second stone to go with that. So we always start with 3. We already went over pink. Pink calcite is my pick. Clear quartz for activating. And then because those two crystals will bring up so much energy, we need a stone to kind of like keep you grounded and centered. And so I always recommend a black stone, black to metal. So it doesn't matter what it is, depending on what you have on hand or what you have available. But examples of a black stone would be like obsidian or black tourmaline or smoky quartz or jet. There we go.
I'm like,
Um,
Crystal likes to have some anonymity, so I'll show some stones here for those.
Thank you. Yeah,
Witch
perfect.
Shungite. This one
Yeah.
is just a little bit of what, onyx.
Nice. Any black stone is going to help teach you the art of protection for yourself. Like, they will not, they do offer protection, but what they're trying to do is teach you how to protect yourself from outside energies. Because some days you might not have your stone on you. You need to already have that frequency and that crystal's energy incorporated within your own, like integrated already within you.
You're teaching me, because like,
right?
I've always had the stones, and that, since I was a little kid, ooh, that's pretty, I'm going to take it home. But it's like, what do you do with it? And a lot of times in some of the native practices, we're like, oh, put it in a box because we want to protect it. But really, it's not doing that. It's actually allowing that marriage of energies to learn. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
So any black stone of their choice. So top 3, pink, clear, and black. Like I always start people off with those 3. And they're good for all 7 chakras.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I like to take notes. So that's what I'm doing. So
yay. Yeah. 7 chakras are, our energy fields are divided up into 7 zones, and each zone is called a chakra. And so when you hear people talk about it, that's all they're talking about. They're just talking about the different zones in your energy field. It doesn't have to be this yoga place. It doesn't have to be from this Reiki place. It's just straight up the colors of the zones in your energy field. Like common talk, like approachable talk, like that's what they're talking about.
So if you were to explain to somebody about the chakra energy fields, like a newcomer, how would you explain to them in a couple of minutes that they could understand how these rocks are going to be grounding or helping them to dispel that anxiety or whatever it is that might be bothering them?
When we're affected by outside energies, it means that our frequencies sometimes have been lowered. Like we might be working in a low frequency place, or we might have to work with somebody who has low vibrations, or maybe we have to live with a relative or interact with a relative or a loved one that has a very low frequency and low vibrational energy field. And so therefore it brings our energy field down, even though we may be more positive and higher frequency people. Crystals are neither solids nor liquids, and they resonate at a very, very, very high frequency, like a very high speed. And so they look like they're not moving, but they're moving at all times. And because us as humans, we're made out of water, those different vibrations coming from different crystals affect the water of our bodies. And so, like, for example, using the example of a black tourmaline, it can help us resonate at such a higher frequency that we may be more resistant to lower frequencies and lower vibrational, energies coming from a coworker or coming from a very icky, creepy place where you have to work or things like that.
I think I've actually felt that with some of the tourmaline. I usually ground with tourmaline and quartz.
I like black tourmaline personally too, because it works fast in protecting or reminding us to use our black tourmaline energy if we've already worked with it, or learning with it to rise up above the muck. Like that's not us. If you're feeling it, raise it yourself higher. And the whole point about working with crystals, and that's another thing that I get passionate about, is when you work with crystals, you are taking responsibility for your own energy field. I actually started with crystals when I had really bad depression and anxiety because of a chemical imbalance. And I was on medication, I was on Celexa, and it's like I wanted to get off of it so bad. I was gaining weight, all the symptoms.
Too. You feel like a zombie. I remember being on those antipsychotic, antidepressants, and really it feels like your life is just being sucked out and you're just along for the ride. I hated that feeling.
Yeah. And coming out of the holiday season still, like even already in February when we're doing this, a lot of people still have some of those residual like depression-y kind of blues. And it's like when I started working with crystals and I understood like I can actually take responsibility for my own dang energy field instead of coming to this hospital and talking to this doctor and taking more drugs.
That's really cool.
I weaned myself off of the antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications. I meditated more, worked with crystals, connected with my ancestors and with spirit. And I'm able now to, I mean, it doesn't go away. It always comes up, you know, especially when I'm meeting so many people also with depression and anxiety and trying to teach them how to lift themselves up. Sometimes their residual energy stay in my energy field and I need to do my protocols to remove. But it's exciting to see people, like people's health change, people's bodies change, people's auras and their energy fields change because they're taking their own responsibility for their own energy fields.
Right.
Yeah.
And I really like how, because I think in that, I guess I have that, what do you call it? The creator type mind or the engineer type mind. I'm always cutting things up and then putting it back together. And because I think of nutritionally, we got to do things physically, we got to be moving. And a lot of people don't really think of, well, what would be an energetic thing, because I detox from food or because I'm bringing in high vibrational foods. It's like kind of like the crystals is like taking our energetic vitamins.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way it's bouncing on me, or I guess reflecting on me to think about that. It is kind of that taking your multivitamin every day.
No,
What crystal will I choose?
Yeah, it's a school. Like crystals are the next level school. Like to bring it all full circle, like, okay, you're going to come in as this level 3 Reiki master person, but you've never connected with spirit. And so spirit has brought you to this crystal shop because, you've done these courses and you graduated from this university and you know this mode of holistic blah, blah, blah. But have you ever attended like spirit school? Like, can you sit with the elementals and with your ancestors and learn like this medicine that existed way before we had a reason for Reiki, like
walk that walk.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, dang, I'm starting from scratch. I am in crystal preschool. Like, yeah.
And I laugh, not that I'm laughing at their situation. I'm laughing because I've taken that journey of literally being in that box of this is the way it is because this is how religion says it, and this is the way it is because this is the way school says it, and this is the way it is because I'm your dad and I'm your mom, and dude, when do I get to think for myself, And really, I think so many things that have been brought into my life have helped me to open up to that. So I'm laughing because it's like I'm in those moccasins right now, and I'm getting someone else's moccasins kicking my boot, going, oh, okay, I'm listening, dude, holla.
Yeah. And that's why I think like spirit, and I think a lot of people really love your energy, Amaria, because you're so humble. Like you really, like when people say like they're humble, they're just saying it because they want to, kind of soundbite it. Oh my gosh, I'm so humble and with humility, with gratitude, blah, 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 hashtag gratitude. And it's like, but when you say it, it's like, no, I learned that lesson.
I have that ass kicked so many times.
Yeah.
It ain't funny, but it is. And I'm sure, I know that my guides roll their eyes at me because I'm one of those ones, and I'm just going to be the first to say it. I'm going to be walking through that fire with both of my middle fingers up going, yeah, right, dude. Nah. Because there's somebody else I love on the other side of those bullets that is a lot more important to me than my own pride, my own ego. And I think, well, I know that's why I'm doing this podcast, because I didn't have these kind of tools to just go on the internet and look at. I had a lot of people saying things like this, but really, just like we talked in the beginning of the show, they weren't walking that walk. And sometimes we have to say, just like Gandhi said, I have to be the change. And for me, that's really humbling with what, I've grown up with, and being in the entertainment industry, the brand ambassador or promotional modeling industry, when I'm representing other people's product or service or whatever and doing a trade show or doing this or that, stepping back and saying, I've had all this training, and then you hit a bump in the road when my guides are going, yeah, it's time for you to change, sweetheart. That's kind of, it sucks, but at the same time, I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned, because I hope that someone could see what journey that I've gone on and say, ooh, I'd rather not have the nail hurt that bad. And
Yeah.
so, really quick, we've got our last break. I just noticed on time, and we'll come back with the last 15 minutes of our show and continue the discussion. This is Amária Sweet with HeartMind Expressions, talking with Crystal Cedar. We'll be right back. This is Amária Sweet. Thanks so much for being with us. I'm with Crystal Cedar today, and we've been talking about crystals and vortexes and a lot of really interesting things, life journeys, and how crystals can benefit our life. The crystal energy work that Crystal Cedar does. And so just kind of this last little bit, is there anything else that you want to leave with the audience, kind of tidbits of wisdom from Crystal Cedar that you would like? You can also reiterate, of course, again, how to get a hold of you as we wrap up. And so any bits of wisdom, if you could think of, because I know we've got the stones that you would represent, pink, clear, and black. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that to really help people on this springboard forward in 2020 in this divine feminine energy, this metal energy?
Yeah, when 2020 turned, the Gregorian calendar turned to January 1st, 2020, that was the start of a great dismantling of like at least 180 years of false crystal knowledge, I believe. Or maybe it was good for that era, that age, with that frequency that's substantially lower than where we are now. Like, think of the technologies that they had 180 years ago, and then think of the technologies that we have today. Like, that's a very short time where we now have cell phones. We're watching on laptops.
And we only have a fragment. Some people don't even realize that what we're playing with on this planet is so minuscule. And I think with these energies that you're bringing in, that you're teaching people, we're going to start seeing that explosion this year of these greater technologies.
Yeah, so there's like a common hit list of crystals that people always come into the shop for: rose quartz, citrine, and jade. Like, those are the top three that everybody always comes in for, because jade, the program of jade was money. If you're Chinese, get jade because it'll bring you money and luck. Citrine, get citrine because it's gold. It's yellow like gold pieces, like money. Okay. And then rose quartz, get rose quartz because it's pink, it's for love, it's for romance, so that you can find a partner that you can feed off of.
Right.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. And so when people come in for those top three like crystals, they're operating off of an older frequency and off of an older vibration from older people that, I mean, to be honest, like those who have not walked with spirit or who are not cool with their ancestors, seen and unseen, like, they're getting phased out for a reason, because they can't facilitate talking to these crystal babies from this new era. Like, that's crystal babies are the wave of children that are as old as 15 and younger. And then we have the crystal scouts, who are about 28 and to 16 right now in age. They're called crystals because they are born crystal clear with no karma. Okay, you cannot take a 180-year-old person working off of or a 50-year-old person working off a 180-year-old knowledge of crystal frequency and explain that to this 5-year-old that is a total crystal, waited a long time to incarnate on this planet and is here to assist us. But they're like, bro, really? Like, you're telling me to carry citrine because of money? Like, I might not even have money when I grow up, because we won't need it. Right. Because I will be in another solar system by then. So Crystals teach us an ancient, pre-ancient way, because that's how old they are, how we should be. And anybody can have that. They don't have to come from a shop. Like, I know I recommended clear quartz, but if you live in a place where clear quartzes are $10 for that small little size, or, you know, maybe it just doesn't exist, then find a white stone. White, so crystals go by color.
Well, like
for me.
selenite would be a good one for somebody to pick up.
Like somebody said, I met somebody from Arizona that was like, oh, you know, even though Arizona has really great clear quartzes, they were on the res. And it's like, you know, most of them don't venture out of the res, but selenite grows like crazy on her res. And I'm like, honey, I'm like, you've had it all along. And to be real, selenite or gypsum is actually it's a natural high frequency fiber optic. It's Mother Nature's fiber optic. And so even though, unfortunately, those people aren't like indigenous to that land because they got kicked out of their actual land, spirit still tried to keep their spirits as clear as they could. Unfortunately, lower frequencies come in through food, and then that's, you know, that's your work. Yeah. But as far as the actual earth herself, like, she's tried to keep the frequency as high as she can. So people can learn a little bit more about the ascension process, again, through my website, ascensionfromwithin.com. So it's ASCENSION from within, WITHIN, all one word, .com. I do not do readings at my shop. I only do one-on-one readings online through video conference, because you can only imagine how many people come into the shop. And if I'm like talking to somebody for an hour, it's not really going to be conducive to be a gatekeeper there. So ascensionfromwithin.com is how people can get a hold of me. I'm also on Instagram at crystal_cedar. So CRYSTAL_SEEDER. And I'm pretty active on that. I'm not really on Facebook, but people, especially women, can find me at the Fire Feather Phoenix Circle women's group, where we do talk about similar energetic things, but mostly Secret Space Program, SSP related things that are authentic.
Right. Yeah, because we want to keep the LARPing stuff out. There's just for those that are aware of who Crystal and I are on that aspect of it, on the SSP side, you know, we want to focus more on the medicine side, on healing, because we want to stay away from all that, you know, well, were you in this, were you in that? It doesn't matter because it's in the past. And so when we're staying present and we're really helping each other to, you know, lift up and to move forward, that's when we're going to be more help to Gaia, to each other, and to, you know, greater service to humanity. And so I thank you for bringing that up, because I think a lot of times we got to remind people that, you know, maybe you happen to be following because of one thing or another. You know, our mission isn't to continue the SSP, it's to continue what we came on this planet to do, to help with Mama Gaia and with this ascension.
Yeah. And she's ultimately, if you are service to others, she is the biggest other we need to serve right now.
Right.
Like, she is under attack. Like, we are seeing our climate being sabotaged. It's not climate change, it's climate sabotage.
Right.
And if we can raise our own frequencies and our own vibrations, we lend our energy fields to her so that she can get through her own ascension process, and we can be with her on her ride in a healthy way.
Well,
and it doesn't have to be.
Go ahead.
Sorry, it doesn't even have to be in like a fearful way either, like in a solar flash, panicky kind of like fear porny kind of way. Do you really think Mama Gaia wants to go through another cataclysm? Like, really? And see not only her human children, but her bear children, you know, her hawk children, her whale children, her interdimensional children go through that trauma again? Like, no, we're not trying to manifest that, although there are certain, you know, other races of beings on our planet that really want to see that happen. No, we are here to serve Mama Gaia. And when we work with crystals, we can remember and we can activate so that we can be an active participant instead of a listener, or instead of like I can't do anything because of where I am, I'm nowhere near. No, you can do it from right where you are. All you have to do is just take care of yourself.
You know, and pointing on that with taking care of ourselves to help Mama Gaia. I know a lot of people might be focused on, well, what did CBS or Fox or CNN or whatever fake news wants to talk about. Yeah, I'm going to talk about fake news for a sec, because I think a lot of times people are so interested in what's going on outside of themselves, when if we just step back, we can't stop the crap that's hitting the fan, but we can raise up to a different level, because that timeline is, it's gone. You know, that's the toddler, the negative entities, the negative programming, the negative beings that are still trying that control, the old systems. You know, we don't have to be a part of that, because we are shifting and we are raising up. And, you know, our whole planetary system is raising in the temperature. So the temperature thing is, we're going to be hotter and we're going to be colder, because we're going in those natural cycles that will put us back into another ice age. And but we've got the technology now that we can flow with that state and help support Gaia with those energies. Maybe instead of reaching for the donut in the morning with your coffee, maybe get your organic coffee and drink some water and go for a piece of fruit, or, you know, some gratitude. If you don't want to eat breakfast, I'm not saying you have to, you know, maybe just being grateful for clean water to drink, and an attitude of gratitude, waking up in that morning, moving forward in that higher energy. And instead of going straight to Facebook or going straight to the news or whatever it is, taking that moment to step back and say, you know, what can I do today to make the world a better place for myself, and carry that energy forward. Because when you have a full vessel of love, you can hand out stuff. When you're empty and you're tired and drained, just like, you know, the energy workers coming into Crystal in her shop, it's hard to really do anything when you've been bleached out, when you've been just sucked to death by energy vampires or whatever it may be. And being able to take that higher step, and, you know, using the crystals as our daily energy vitamin boost, and doing the meditation for our spiritual boost, doing the clean eating and mindful eating for our physical boost, and moving around, you know, getting up, walking for a few minutes, or doing some yoga, or whatever it is that gets your heart pumping. Even if it's 5 minutes, it's better to do that, because you'll notice you start feeling better, you start thinking more clearly, and you just want to smile. Because there's days that I could wake up and say, oh, that was a crappy whatever, but that's only a moment in time. We don't need to base our I ams or ourselves or our identity on a situation that happened in the past, even if it's a second ago. We can stay in this mindfulness of gratitude and be drawn into more things that are positive, like, you know, the more positive people that we come in contact with, people that are actual medicine practitioners, that we resonate more higher energy or higher frequency. So anyway, I guess I'm just jibber jabbering along. Sometimes I get all excited and and everything. You know, my little personality, all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
so one last thing too, and it's exactly what you just said. When you feel like you're going, if you feel like you're going through your ascension process, or you're already in your ascension process, please don't feel like you need to find a guru. There are no gurus. You can have a bunch of teachers. You can have lots of different teachers, but please do not think that you need to commit yourself to one person's beliefs. Women, I'm looking at you following a male guru, especially. That's the program. Please don't do that. Like, there are powerful, strong sister, like, comrades out there that are just ready to assist, and we assist each other. We help each other. Nobody should be draining one person just to lift themselves up. With the energy work that, with the energy work that I do, and which I know you do with all of your listeners on your different platforms, it's planting seeds of inspiration. It is not guruism. And even if people do maybe a coaching session with you or with me, it's not meant to be this codependence of spiritualism. That does not exist. Spiritualism comes from spirit. That's why it's called spiritualism.
yeah.
Okay, it is not religion. It is different because it's spirit. And even though the program is like, my background is Catholicism, it's like we're taught to believe in the Holy Spirit, and it's like that just it never resonated with me. I would rather hug a tree. Yeah,
Just like in
exactly.
Mormonism, it just kind of puts everything in a box where you still have to reach out to somewhere else because you're not good enough. You don't have the
Right.
authority.
Right.
That's not the way it is. It's really
No, you're unclean. Really? Because these rocks love me. These rocks
right.
are my friends. And they came from the earth. And so if I'm gross, then we can be gross together. And I feel better about myself actually doing that. So that's a falsehood that you feel that you have to sign up for somebody's program, or you have to sign up for like 5 sessions, just to learn about ascension. Like, real good teachers will just visit with you enough to check in on you, answer questions that you may have, and then plant future seeds of homework. And if you feel like you're strong enough or ready enough to do that homework, then you're actually doing your own ascension process, because each person has their own ancestors and their own guides that they don't even need to know who they are. Okay, like that's the other thing. Like, you don't have to go through age regression
Right.
therapy, right? You
And
don't
so many
need to.
people wanting to, well, who is it? What is it? Not going to pay
Yeah,
the bills. Just
yeah,
listen to them.
exactly. And like, when it's not going to help the real, like, the whole point is you raise your frequency, you raise your vibration, you go through ascension process, you become part of the team that helps Mama Gaia consistently, helping other people, because that's what service to others is about. And you help yourself, because if you don't help yourself, like, you have to do it. Like RuPaul's famous words, like, if you can't love yourself, or something like that, I forget. Terrible at quote. But like, you have to love yourself, or else nobody else can. It's like, and it's true. And especially if you are compromised and you're trying to fake this life of helping people, you are secretly planting those people with your hurt, or you're secretly planting seeds that are just half seeds because you're not 100% yourself. And you might actually be passing on damage versus passing on healing.
And I
So
think
please,
this
yeah.
day and age, we're at a point to where that's kind of also fading out because we're going to start seeing people's authentic selves manifest.
Oh yeah.
Because that's just where we're at that frequency, that energy level. We just are at a point where we're starting to read each other's minds. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean we're psychic. It just means we're vibrating at that point that we don't have to open our mouth. We just open our heart.
Exactly.
And we can tell, oh God, that person is kind of shady. Or, oh God, that's a really cool seeming person. Maybe I want to learn from them, because we want to always be learning from someone that's living in a way that we like what they're doing, and we always want to be teaching. But it's not that
Right.
I'm going to teach you because, dang it, you're right here, and I'm going to shove this sandwich down your throat. No, that's not how it works. We still got to have that free agency, that free will, and just, people will ask, and it's just by living that law of attraction or that example. A lion doesn't have to tell you it's a lion for you to know that it's a lion. It's going to
Right.
have a presence. We're going to have that spiritual presence to where, yes, we are teaching. Yes, we are reaching out. But you're also going to be coming up to match our energy. And that's when we're placed together. And you'll know that if you need to come to an energy worker like Crystal or like myself or another person, allow that flow to happen so that when you come together, it's not that guru. You don't need that. It's, oh, that's the teacher I needed for this point in my life. And
Right.
I can go teach somebody else because I'm living that example.
Yeah. Or even for practitioners who might be listening, it's like, if you've been one of those practitioners that have been faking it till they make it up until now you can't fake it. Like, we're in 2020 now. Do your homework.
Right.
Do your homework.
So you got
It's
the
like,
training.
it's not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's just always a student, never a master. Like, that's a common Buddhist saying, like, never the master, always a student. Even the Dalai Lama himself says that, like, always a student. And that's the humility that all energy workers and people going through ascension need to forgive themselves with, and need to remind themselves with utmost humility every day, because, like, it's Mama Gaia.
And we make mistakes. I mean, I trip all over my fat feet all the time.
Yeah, babe, we're gonna get compromised. We're gonna get entity attachments. It's like, recognize it, identify it, handle it. And Crystals can help you do that.
And I love the wisdom that you brought to the table, Crystal. Thank you so much. We're at the hour mark now for our show, and I would love to bring you on another time. I'm sure that the audience would also love that too. Again, Crystal Cedar, you can find her at ascensionfromwithin.com. You can find her on Instagram at crystal_cedar. And then, of course, the Fire Feather Phoenix Women's Group, the Fire Feather Phoenix Circle Women's Group. That one is a screened group that if you decide that you feel resonate, you can always look that up on Facebook and fill out the form there. And we'll definitely love to look into the energies. Thanks so much, guys, for watching today. I'm going to have that lovely tongue going on here. Amária Sweet with our Heart Mind Expressions podcast. Thank you so much. Love and light. Namaste.